Hope you like islands, and if you don't, it's too bad.
And this is a really weird mirror match because of the presence of Thassa in both decks. Means that sometimes chump blocking starts happening much earlier than you normally see in a competitive match. Players might not get a chance to block down the line, and so they often have to pick their spots.
I think what's also really interesting here is that this is something that you would have expected months ago. Is, you know, your opponent plays an island in Cloudfin Raptor, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is an expected play. This is something I'm used to seeing, but that's not something that's really the case nowadays. So I wouldn't be surprised if Scott or Ross is kind of surprised to see the opponent doing exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
Because mirror matches, of this matchup are not very common. Merriam with just a couple copies of Cloudfin Raptor to start the show here. There's a Frostburn Weird, so now the jig is up. I think both players know what each other is doing. We'll see if Merriam has some sort of way here to evolve those Cloudfin Raptors. An Island plus Nightfield Spectre is probably the best he can do. Frostburn is not bad either.
No, this is a good start. Again, this matchup to me comes down a lot to just Thassa and Master of Waves. The two haymakers in both decks are really significant. There's not really any way to get them off the table in the mirror match. There's rapid hybridization is basically the only out. And so who's ever able to land those cards early and often has a huge edge.
Island number 3 there for Lanning. See what he wants to do on this turn. 2 mana. There's a Tidebinder Mage. Get that Frostburn Weird out of here. Normally just a 2/2 Grizzly Bear in this matchup, but can interact with the Frostburn Weird. In for 1, it looks like. Will there be a pump? No, it'll just be a pass representing a rapid hybridization right now.
That is the one trick that these decks have in this spot, so. Loud and clear.
Merriam, mostly known for playing combo L's in Legacy. He has won an Open Series event before. A couple years ago in Indianapolis, he won the Standard Open with Blue-White Delver, back when that was the best deck to be playing in Standard.
Yep. Was for a while. And it looks like Ross's hand is loaded. I believe he has Thassa and Master of Waves.
Those cards are both really good.
Yeah, particularly in the mirror. Thassa's just good against everyone. That's the superstar of this deck.
Yeah. There's a Judge's Familiar. I like playing this too, because now he's going to get to evolve his Cloudfin Raptors because Thassa's on. But also you get to play around rapid hybridization this way.
And based on Scott's last turn, there's a really good chance that card's in his hand. So this is really good sequencing from Ross. And I like doing this better than, of course, casting Master Waves this turn. Just build up your devotion count before firing that one off.
Yep. You see the attack there for 4 in the air. Lanning goes down to 14. An Island will be Lanning's play for turn number 4. We'll see if he has anything to cast. He has a Thassa of his own, but he is behind on the board.
Oh, big time. There's not a lot of good ways to catch up in the mirror match, too. There's 1 copy of Cyclonic Rift in Scott's list, but and 2 copies of Nick, though, so I guess it's not impossible for him to get to there in time, but he needs some pretty fortunate draws to be able to get to that spot. And the Judge's Familiar in play complicates that as well. Two copies of Nykthos, not standard in this list.
I only see 1. A lot of times none.
Now, Scott's playing 3 copies of Hypnotic Siren.
Okay.
So that makes sense that you would want a second copy of Nykthos because you have another big payout once you have a lot of mana.
Here's 4 mana. This is probably Master of Waves. Yep. So when that comes, Devotion Check is 5. So some Elemental Horses are on the way.
But Scott's in a ton of trouble, even on board, forgetting the fact that Ross has Master Waves in hand. From here, Ross can even just go, make Thassa unblockable, attack you with that and my flyers, untap, do it again next turn.
And kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it's very realistic for that to be the case. Merriam going to untap. Take a draw here. Going to resolve the scry first, of course, from Thassa. Kind of crazy. I mean, Thassa was just running rampant on tournaments and just causing havoc in Standard for a while, but over the past couple of months, not really doing much.
And I think the deck has probably gotten to a point now where it is underrepresented. There should be more of it than there currently is.
I think too. I remember back when we were in back in the Season 1 Invitational in Charlotte, we saw Blue-White Devotion finally win a tournament there. Yeah, the Splash for Detention Sphere and Afar and stuff like that. I can't think of the last time we have. I can't. Not even on camera. Just walking around and seeing that deck. I can't even think of the last time I've done that.
It's been a really long time.
Yeah. Merriam gonna scry, the top card to the bottom, take a draw here.
But Ross is the type of player who very much pays attention to metagames. He's rarely that hung up on playing the same deck. And I bet Ross has deduced at this point that Mono Blue is underrepresented enough and there's enough different decks that Mono Blue classically preys on that it's a good choice right now.
Yeah, attack for 9 in the air. I think the way that Ross is kind of pacing this turn, Looks like this can be a Master of Waves, yeah. He attacks for 9 this turn, and then he just kind of shoves with everything, makes some stuff unblockable next turn. Thassa can play defense as well. You see the Devotion here is a whole bunch. 7 elementals coming to play for Merriam.
And now I don't even believe Nykthos into Cyclonic Rift gets the job done because the Judge's Familiar closes off that door.
Wow, it's actually true.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
And Ross has the board gummed up reasonably well enough that even a second copy of Master Waves from Scott doesn't really do anything here either.
Hall Triumph, something like that.
Yeah.
Make those things bigger. Yeah, and he's just going to pick up the board. Ross Merriam's going to win game number 1 here over Scott Lanning. Mono Blue Devotion beats Mono Blue Devotion in game 1.
Yeah, someone has to win.
Yeah, I mean, one Mono Blue Devotion deck's going to be 5-0. That's for sure. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. I imagine they're going to be pretty similar. You've got Lanning's in front of you. I'll let you fire away.
2 copies of Aetherling, another Cyclonic Rift, 2 Dispel, 3 Gainsay, 2 Jace Architect of Thought, a Mizium Skin, 2 Pithy Needle, 2 Ratchet Bomb. I think you're going to see the 3 copies of Gainsay come in, the 2 copies of Jace Architect of Thought, and the additional Cyclonic Rift.
On my side, I got a Dispel. I got 2 Gainsays, 2 Negates, 2 copies of Dissolve, a Rapid Hybridization, a Claustrophobia, 2 Domestications, a Bind of Thassa, 2 Jace Architect of Thought, and a Jace Memory Adept. I expect kind of more of the same here. Gainsays are obvious. Rapid Hybrid's relatively good. Domestication is great. Jace Architect of Thought is good. And he'll be on the play this game, so Scott can actually get Jace established early.
Yeah, I don't think Memory Adept is very good because it's more mana and the plus power doesn't impact the board. Chase Architect of Thought being cheaper and the plus power being significant in the mirror match, I think, makes that a worthy include.
Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Again, even though we haven't seen Mono Blue for a while, nothing has really changed here. This deck list is very similar to what we saw, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Again, Hypnotic Siren and Hall of Triumph really the only thing that's going on. And I don't think Ross is even playing Hypnotic Siren.
No. I mean, he has a Gale Rider Sliver as a 1-of.
Okay.
And the only reason that's really important is because Mutavolts happen to be slivers, so you can give your Mutavolts flying. It's a minor interaction. It also gives you a ninth thing to do on turn 1.
And it's just another Biden play too. I mean, that's the thing. It helps a lot with Biden.
And nothing crazy. I mean, that could be a Hypnotic Siren. That's really about it. And truthfully, that's really the only new card that this deck has gotten access to besides a Hall of Triumph, which oddly enough, both players have 2 copies of that card in their deck.
And again, the 2 makes a lot of sense to me, especially alongside Frostbird Weird and the cheap flyers. Hall of Triumph is a nice card to have a couple copies of.
As these players do finish sideboarding here, we'll take a look at the newest promotion for Star City Games in our Creature Collection series. It is good old Acorn Mystic, a play on Stoneforge Mystic that I know a lot of people are excited about. You can get these play mats, deck boxes, sleeves, dice bags, as well as the tokens starting June 13th at any Open Series event. And most of the other stuff here off of StarCityGames.com, but the tokens, you get those with the entry to a Legacy Open.
Okay.
So
pretty sweet.
Again, we'll have more of these in the future. I know these are really, really popular along with the rest of the things that we do on our Creature Collection stuff. The panda sleeves, the turtle, the squirrels, all of that good stuff that we do. So just another fun one in this collection that we have in Star City Games.
Cartoon animals with big eyes that are cute are really popular. Big cheeks. There's a recipe here.
We talked about hippos earlier.
Uh-huh.
I think also an armadillo. Thoughts?
Sweet.
Maybe too aggressive of an animal. I guess hippos are more aggressive than armadillos.
Yeah, hippos are the most aggressive of animals.
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't done an elephant yet. Elephants are
not bad.
sweet.
I'm sure if Call of the Herd was still kicking around competitive Magic, this would have already happened.
Do you remember when Call of the Herd was like the best card?
Oh, by a lot, yeah.
That at one point Magic was like the best card. That card was $20, and if you had 4 Call of the Herds, you were the man.
It was second place in the Extended Pro Tour a month after the set came out. It was really good considering Tommy Wallame's the intuition.
Double drop?
Yeah, the intuition for Call of Her deck.
Nice. At one point in Magic, that was the best thing to be doing. It's just playing a 3/3 and then doing it again.
Yeah. Now, could you imagine?
No.
Could you imagine doing it? And quite honestly, even when Call of the Herd was, in quotes, the best thing to be doing, the real best thing to be doing was casting repulses and factor fictions and stuff. So let's not go down too far down memory lane and forget what was really going on at the time.
And FTK, right?
Yeah, FTK was also.
Okay.
So let's just remember that when Call of the Herd was the best thing to be doing, it was probably, in reality, the 14th best thing to be doing.
How good was Beast Attack? I wasn't that good then, but I loved Beast Attack.
It was totally busted in draft and in sealed, but never really saw a lot of constructed play.
It's too bad. That card's sweet.
Yeah.
I really like that card. And then there's Elephant Ambush. I think that's that's like, I wouldn't call it a cycle, but those were like the cards.
Yeah, it was 4 on front and I think 8 in the back for the ambush. Beast Attack was 5 and 5, and Call to Her was 3 and 4.
Yeah. Those cards were sweet, man. Maybe it's just because I was younger and I just
don't know.
loved
The
Magic
concept
then.
of an elephant ambush was always pretty stupid to me.
That's what makes it awesome.
If I'm going to get ambushed by an animal, it's probably not going to be one that makes loud noises and is several tons and makes a lot of noise when it's moving around. But
you don't know that elephant. You don't know if it's a quiet stealth elephant or not.
I mean, I think in the artwork it's like camouflaged in some green wash, but it's just not. I'm not buying the flavor.
No, I think it's
Call to
great.
Herd, I'm all about. There's 2 elephants. Sweet, got it. Beast Attack kind of looks like maybe that guy's sneaking up on you. Got it. Instant Speed Elephant, not so much.
You're a tough man to please.
That's true.
You are very tough to please. I happen to be a very large fan of Elephant Ambush. Thank you very much.
It's a funny concept, but again.
Both players taking a look at their opener here. Looks like they're both happy. Lanning is the one who will start with a Cloudfin Raptor this go around. Merriam with an island, and he has a Cloudfin Raptor of his own. Let's see if Lanning's able to evolve here on turn 2.
This feels like the most tempo-oriented mirror match in Standard. Even mono red and mono black matchups have removal spells and blocking happening, but the Blue Devotion feels like who's ever on the front foot, that's just kind of the whole game.
Well, right now, Lanning is the one out on the front foot. Here's a Tidebinder Mage. That's actually a pretty big play. Gonna tap that down. Ross gonna attack here for 1. And you could make an argument of, you should just hang back on defense so you don't take 1 from the Raptor. Well, it's like, well, actually, the chances of the Raptor evolving again are pretty high. And so what you're going to try to attempt to do there, blocking, and the chances of that working are pretty low, I think.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed point of damage in a spot where you're probably not going to be able to block, so.
There's a Thassa. Here's an attack for 1. Thassa's 1 devotion away from turning on. Merriam going to untap. He will take a draw here in just a moment.
But at least Ross has done some good work, essentially breaking serve here with that Tidebinder Mage. And now Scott kind of taking a turn off to play the Thassa here. If Ross has some gainsays or other ways to fight the board, he might be able to pull ahead here.
Well, if you're going to take a turn off, casting a Thassa is a really good way to do it.
Yeah, I say taking a turn off, but it's kind of only sort of taking a turn off.
Yeah. Because chances are he'll be able to turn that on the next turn, and it's not like he took a turn off at all. Actually, all he ends up doing is actually just making his draw better. As now into the red zone comes Merriam with Tidebinder Mage and a Cloudfin Raptor. Plays a Thassa, passes back. Frostborn Weird, don't you even think about untapping. Tidebinder Mage is still in play. Here's a Scry from Lanning.
I think Scott's just looking for land number 4, I would assume. And yeah, he found it off the Scry.
And there's a Ratchet Bomb. Interesting. That'll take care of the tokens for Master of Waves. But what that doesn't do is give another devotion here for Thassa.
Couple copies of that in Scott's sideboard. A little surprised to see it come in here, as of course most of these decks are just, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
There are going to be spots where Ratchet Bomb does some good work, but it's going to be hard to cobble together a big advantage in most spots, unless Ross happens to have a randomly very 1-drop heavy draw, and Scott does not.
Well, Scott has in his hand right now are reactive spells. He's got a Gainsay and a Dispel. And Gainsay certainly would be good. I'm going to be interested to see exactly how good that Dispel is, however.
Not a lot of targets, and a lot of them are counter spells.
Yeah.
So
3 mana, Nightveil Spectre. This is Merriam's test spell. That's going to get Gainsayed. Merriam's going to follow up with a Gale Rider Sliver.
boom shakalaka.
Only one. Doesn't show up a ton, but it shows up right now. Into the red zone comes Merriam for 5, 6, 7, 8. Lanning's going to go down to 8.
This is not a terrible spot here for Ratchet Bomb. If Scott's able to find a double loop permanent, that means his Thassa's on, and he can shut off Ross's.
Ratchet Bomb will untap as well here in just a moment. See the Scry here. Put the top card to the bottom, and now Lanning will take a draw. As you mentioned, the Ratchet Bomb's pretty good. I mean, it'll take care of Lanning's Cloudfin Raptor, but it'll take care of Merriam's Cloudfin Raptor and his Gale Rider Sliver and slow down the Thassa.
The big thing here is if Scott can cobble together a double blue spell this turn, then things get really good. But it looks like his hand is just a spell and a land.
Yeah. He's going to hang back, take a draw. Merriam's going to look.
Scott took such a big wallop last turn, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull back.
Yeah, 5 from Thassa is just so much.
So much. And now he's just on the back foot for forever, because it's not like Thassa's going anywhere. And now every threat that Ross draws for the rest of the game has the possibility of being unblockable.
3 mana. Is this a Night Veil again? It is. This is going to turn on Thassa for sure, because even if they blows up the Ratchet Bomb, the Devotion's still met.
Correct.
See if Merriam has a land to maybe make the Thassa unblockable. You see the evolution there of Cloudfin Raptor. There's an activation of the Ratchet Bomb. There goes Cloudfin Raptor. There goes the 1-drops. And now here's an attack for 7. Lanning's going to go down to 1. Don't love the timing of that Ratchet Bomb simply because you could block with your Cloudfin Raptor and then blow it.
Correct.
So I'm not a big fan of the timing there, but I'm not sure it's going to come back to matter simply because Lanning is just too far behind now.
Scott has drawn a lot of cards that were just awkward to capitalize on, especially once he got out in front. I mean, there's the Dispel that's still in his hand. There's the Ratchet Bomb he brought in that was not really used to great effect there. And every draw step that Ross has was super smooth, super streamlined. Even the one Gale Rider Sliver was significant. I mean, that enabled that turn where he was able to achieve Devotion for Thassa, even in spite of his Night Veil Spectre getting countered. So
yeah, I think the thing there that Lanning may have done wrong is I think he just poured into too many reactive cards. Dispels, bombs. I mean, Gainsay is one thing because Gainsay is great in the matchup. But outside of that, I think, Dispel, you take a look at the deck list, what is that spell realistically going to counter? Cyclonic Rift? Rapid Hybridization? Do you want to invest a slot in a card that counters those spells and potentially other counter spells? Myself, personally, I wouldn't want to.
And mana is at a premium in the mirror match, too. Players are constantly tapping out. You want to be activating Thassa as much as possible, activating your Mutavaults and so forth. So holding up a mana is a big cost in the mirror match. That combined with how situational it is, I think it's just not a card you're supposed to be bringing in the mirror match.
Also, take a look at that game. Imagine if that Dispel is just something that provides a Devotion.
Yeah.
Able to keep the ball rolling. You want 1-drop, 2-drop Thassa. Now you need 1 more Devotion. You get to smack him in the face for 5, which is what Merriam was able to do to be able to take that game over. When Thassa's pressuring you in the Devotion on, it's very, very hard to win.
And you can see when Ross, when Scott's tapping 2 mana on his turn, Ross was taking